I'm in Melbourne. On June the 10th of this year, my YouTube channel officially became 10 years old. At the time, I was busy at ICMI 2017 at Gold Coast, for the most part bereft of Wi-Fi and free time, so I couldn't quite mark the occasion in a timely fashion. But I thought I'd do an Ask Me Anything video, as I haven't done one, even in the 3 years in which I've been slowly rising from the swamp of obscurity. So I asked Twitter to pose me some smart and or funny questions, and they did. So I will indulge, just this once. If you missed the boat, fuck you. If your question wasn't good enough, fuck you. And just a miscellaneous fuck you for good measure. Fuck everyone, why not? Alright, let's get stuck into this thing. Question 1. Deltaxio asks, when did you discover Honey Jack? 2012. Until then I was too poor to experiment with expensive alcohol. The fun thing about Honey Jack is that it's so sweet it replaces all the sugars it makes you lose. So even if I drink a whole bottle of the stuff, I don't wake up with a hangover. I wake up still drunk. And I start again. So yeah, as a result of discovering Honey Jack, I was basically drunk non-stop for about 2 years. Dark Cheese TV was the result. Some of you asked about Dark Cheese and about Limbo and all the cartoons I used to do. Yes, in theory I will get around to doing more of those when I think of more ideas. That was kind of a repository of all the satirical ideas I've been building up until then, translated from rant into cartoon. And I no longer build up repositories. I bleed it out one at a time. And it's mostly in rant form. Who knows what will happen, eh? Me. I do. But I'm not telling you. No. Selvid Fard asks... Sorry, Seliv Fard. What's your name about? What's that? Sorry, I'm answering, not asking. What's the correct punishment for the crime of men's rights advocacy? It's the same as the punishment for being a gamer. Or a MGTOW. Or a Kekistani. Or a fill in the blank. You need to stop calling yourself one. Because you've never achieved anything and the SJWs have clearly beaten you. Consistency is such a bitch, isn't it? Mega Mike 1983 says, I would like to see more of your fine postal service hardened calves. I will make Sargon of Akkad show tits. Do you accept this trade? Yes, I do. I hope that answers your question. Needless to say, you won't see a lick of calf until I confirm I've seen tit. And the tit had better have some epic beard on it. Or I will be disappointed. And if I'm disappointed, my calves will not be sufficiently erect. We need to coordinate this in controlled conditions. Criplord asks, what is the best coping mechanism when dealing with feminist bollocks? I recall in Originating you used them all, so what worked best? The most effective coping mechanism is alcohol. Good old forgetting juice, but it's bad for your health, so it would be ethically unsound for me to recommend it. Laughter is the best medicine, but also laughter is not something that you can simply summon at will. The healthiest and most readily available coping mechanism, and it's important not to forget this as an option, is simply to walk away and get on with your life. It's the only solution that poses no risk of spiraling out of control. But of course, walking away from feminism is not an option if you're in school or university or the workplace or the government or a marriage or a family. So case by case, I'm afraid. Conduct your own experiments. Damien Keneally asks, why aren't you an equal opportunity alcoholic? Why so loyal to the Honey Jack? I will not let this information stand, sir. In my videos I've drunk lager, ale, wine, cider, vodka, gin, rum, brandy, Baileys, absinthe, and I even fed Cointreau to the codger one time. And it's all real. I have never drunk fake alcohol just for show, because my pain is not fake. And I keep coming back to Honey Jack, because Honey Jack is better than all of the above. Whether you're a man or a woman or a lady boy or a Gentleman girl. Honey Jack is good for what ails you. Get it drunk. Good fella, in the guise of gold digger, asks, if you could have 5 dinner guests, dead, alive, real or fictional, who would they be? God, Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, and Linda Sarsour. We'd skip the main course and head straight for coffee and popcorn. Talking Bollocks asks, if you had a time machine that only allowed you a single one-way trip of 100 years into the future or past with no return, which would you choose and why? Interesting question. If I travel to 1917, what happens next? 1918? And then 1919 and so on. Once I land in the past, time will continue forward, eventually reaching 2017. Yes? That would be me slowly returning to the future. But you said, with no return. If I'm not allowed to travel to the future, that's called being dead, isn't it? Living people travel to the future all the time. Dead people do not. So my answer is I would rather travel 100 years into the future and then continue travelling into the future than travel 100 years into the past and then die. Which is fortunate, because one of these things will happen if I live to 135, and the other is impossible according to everything we know about the laws of physics. Not death, going back in time. I love it when a plan comes together, don't you? Comrade Cow Vigilante asks, during an aside in one of your videos, you called yourself an art student. Do you appreciate / value your studies? Also, favourite band? I'm an art graduate, and art is something you never stop studying. Specifically, I'm a drama graduate, it's just counted as art. And honestly, I hardly learned a damn thing I didn't know, and my qualifications have done shittity squat to help me get a job. I only went to university to get out of the house, and to be fair, it worked. And I was extremely lucky, because back then tuition fees were a cube root of what they are now, and male students still had a wisp of due process left in their human rights. Nowadays, I would not even recommend universities as a way of getting out of the house. They've been taken over by people who are only interested in creating a home here, which destroys the whole fucking point of leaving home. Learn a trade. Get a proper job. Use your free time to develop your skills and your passion. Especially if you're a straight white male. Universities don't want you, except as political cannon fodder. They will treat you as a second-class citizen, and they will do it proudly and self-righteously. Fuck that shit into a cocked hat, if you please. Live life. Favourite bands? Pink Floyd, System of a Down, Radiohead, Tool, and the Wild Hearts. Those are the 5 bands that to this day I've never got sick of listening to. You can probably tell, since I've dropped their lyrics into my videos all the time. Except the Wild Hearts, because no one's heard of them. Easily the most underrated band in the world. Most overrated band in the world is the Sex Pistols. Don't at me, bro. CB Gog asks, do you think art is completely subjective, or do you think there is an objective right and wrong way to make certain projects? Well, there's an objective way to design buildings, and it's so they don't fall down. There's an objective way to make music, and it's in accordance with the harmonic overlaps that the human inner ear can ascertain in those little vibrating hairs it has. There's an objective way to draw a picture of something, and it's called measurement. This is why we divide art into fine arts and liberal arts. Fine art has objective patterns that are tried and tested to work with what we know as the laws of physics. Liberal art, however, is indeed entirely subjective. Just because your building collapses and your music is an atonal, arrhythmic mess, and your pictures look nothing like the things they're supposed to look like, doesn't mean they can't be appreciated in some capacity. But don't be surprised if they're not. And don't expect to be given a job or a career for your efforts, because you're essentially just throwing shit at the walls and hoping something sticks by sheer luck. Get good at your instrument. That'll make your shit sticky by default, which is a good thing. Tailed Feature asks, would you ever consider running for Parliament? And if so, which ministry would you like to be in charge of? No! I can't imagine anything more hideous than running for Parliament or being in Parliament. I think Sargon should run for Parliament, and Sargon thinks I should run for Parliament. Because we're both sadists and we hate each other. Andy's Room asks, is there a dog, cat, or wombat, brackets, pet, on your route that you would take home with you if you could, or throw in a dumpster fire for being ugly? I don't like the idea of having a pet. As far as I can tell, a pet is an animal that exists to appease the neurotic insecurities of another animal. And as the golden rule goes, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I am happy to be eaten by other animals when I die, but I would be deeply sad and frustrated if another animal wasted my life imprisoning me as their emotional tampon. This, incidentally, is also why I'm a MGTOW. I wouldn't throw anything in a dumpster fire just for being ugly. You'd have to really piss me off before I do that. Lana Latius, good to meet you in Gold Coast, asks, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I need to know for science! Over 9,000. And below Graham's number. That's all we know. Will Speck asks, have you ever considered moving to Canada? And if not, why not? Explain. Yes, but, to be honest, Canada, Australia, the UK and the USA are all racing each other to see who could do the best job of fucking over their male population. And Canada's in the lead, as far as the English-speaking world is going. I don't want to live in a country where it's perfectly legal for someone to falsely accuse you of rape, and it's illegal for you to present any evidence in your defense. 'Cause totalitarian fascism. Yeah, not a fan. MRA Wallflower asks, what was your red pill? Sorry, I don't really have a story to tell on that front. Never been fucked over by family courts, never been mutilated by a trusted physician, never had a job or a career ruined by false accusations or general misandric press hysteria. I am one of the lucky ones. I've sat back in my hermit cave watching it happen to other people. But around 2012, 2013, I started talking to my friends and to the broader public about men's issues, and I discovered just how transcendently nasty and stupid some of my friends are. And by extension, how transcendently nasty and stupid a considerable portion of the population is. I didn't have a red pill moment, but you might say I had a red pill purge over the course of a couple of years. It's a sad truth, but whoever you are, you have gender fascists in your life who will hold one rule for men and the opposite rule for women, and they'll call it equality because it favors women. And they will erase every memory and every fact that contradicts their worldview, even if it's written in black and white right under their nose and repeated ad infinitum. Ordinary people who you think of as friends have been walking around with deluded fascist Swiss cheese in their head this whole time. When you realise this is when your red pill either begins to or finishes dissolving and digesting. If your red pill moment came from personal experience, like with family courts or whatever, the cunts will call you selfish and bitter. They'll laugh at your pain and remain convinced they're in the right. But if you're only in it for the sake of other people's personal experiences, if you're only interested in bringing justice about for other people, the cunts will simply invent personal experiences on your behalf so they have an excuse to still call you selfish and bitter. They'll concoct a backstory, like you must have knocked someone up or fucked up your marriage somehow. They'll make up whatever works. It doesn't matter. So don't be afraid to tell your story if you have one. But be prepared for some or many of your so-called friends to show their true colours. Before you do this, make sure you have at least a few people in your life who care more about you than they care about their dogma. Or shit's gonna get very dark and lonely. Alright, this is getting depressing. Someone asked me a funny question. Patrick McKenna asks, here's some other questions. Do you like spicy food? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your favourite colour of the alphabet? Yes or no? Yes, fucking love spicy food. Remove kebab if you must, but don't remove curry. Curry's good people. On a scale of 1 to 10, my favourite colour of the alphabet is banana molybdenum salad. Thank you very much for asking. Politicilter asks, how random do you have to be a randomacam? 12. Tyler Paul asks, is rum and coke a breakfast food? No, silly. It's a breakfast drink. Mitch Start, Charming Man 93, hello, asks, what do you do when a sand feminist starts autistically screeching? Well, I smile, I laugh, I get on with my shit, and I wait, patiently, for them to move on and inevitably start baiting someone more popular than me. And then I laugh my ass off in the background as the popular people say exactly what I was thinking 7 months ago. Don't work hard, work smart. Noah Topper, do you lean left or right or neither? To be honest, I can't tell the difference anymore. The left is supposed to be liberal, but they have no interest in liberating men. The right is supposed to be conservative, but they have no interest in conserving men's rights. Right now they're busy arguing with each other about whether we should be saving the poor Muslim women from the evil white men, or saving the poor Muslim women from the evil Muslim men. Neither wing represents my interests. I'm not interested in saving, I'm interested in loading. What? I figure it out. If I lean anywhere, it's towards the prospect of sane, competent politicians. Which is why in the last election I did not vote. Can you blame me? Scott C. Smith. How come SJWs want the very people they despise as part of their movement? You mean straight white men? That must be who you mean, because those are the people SJWs openly despise. They want straight white men on board because they can accuse straight white men of racist, sexist, homophobic bigotry at any point, without challenge, and thereby extract compliance and labour from them above and beyond reason. The SJWs want straight white men in their ranks for exactly the same reason the Ottoman Empire did. For the same reason the colonial southern states wanted black men. Why would racist slave drivers want another shipment of brainwashed black men? When you unravel it, it's a rather silly question, isn't it? Why would a worker want tools? Noah Topper again. Should humans be working towards immortality? And would you want to live forever / indefinitely? No. Emphatically no. Oh my fucking god, no. Tell me, have you ever been bored? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy being bored? Have you ever been put in solitary confinement? In a dark, empty, windowless room? If I could handle it for a minute. I could maybe handle it for an hour if I'm feeling particularly meditative. But if you put me in a dark, empty, windowless room for a day or more, I would start to go insane from inconsolable boredom. That's why it's considered a punishment. What if you were put in a large, well-lit room with plenty of furniture and a couple of windows for 10 million years? After the first million years, you'd have become comprehensively accustomed to every last crumb of matter in that room, and every last shard of light that shines through the windows, until nothing novel remained. You would go exactly as insane as you would go in the dark, empty room. It would just take longer. Throw in a companion or two, and you still have the same problem, but longer form still. Well, if you live forever, literally forever, we'll pretend that's possible. If you live for a literally infinite amount of time, then the entire universe is your dark, empty room. You will learn everything about every atom in the universe and everywhere it could possibly go. You will learn it all 1 trillion times and there will be nothing else to learn. You will unavoidably become inconsolably bored of the entire universe. And there will be nowhere else to go. To wish for immortality is to wish for solitary confinement. It is a wish to take a one-way trip to hell. It is straight up the dumbest, most short-sighted, most hubristic mistake any life form could possibly make. I figured this out when I was like 9, by the way. I have no idea why people are scared of death. Why would you be scared of death when the only alternative is infinitely scarier? Literally infinitely. And if we're talking indefinitely rather than forever, as in every human can live to like 1 million years old without dying of old age or disease, this would also be a terrible idea. Because there are already 7 billion of us on one planet and we're breeding like rabbits. The only thing keeping us from covering this earth like an endless carpet of twitching meat is the fact that we die. If you cure the phenomenon of death, you're also going to have to cure the phenomenon of birth. I predict this will not go well. Just die. Everyone, seriously, you're gonna die. Just die. Live with it. Brian, hello Brian, asks, are you and @GoGreen18 dating? I don't know, I did hear something like that. It's, I have to look into it. I'll have to get back to you. Sargon of a Corn and a Cob asks, does any of your randomer creativity come from dreams? No. And believe me, I've tried. I've tried really hard to remember my dreams. Sometimes, not just sometimes, often, I have a dream about creating a video. The greatest video ever. Like the video that's going to explain absolutely everything to everyone and change the world. I'm going through each detail in the dream, knowing I'm dreaming. And I'm thinking, awesome, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to make the video to end all videos, and it's going to be epic. And then I wake up, and I go, okay, what was it? Nope, it's gone. Wait, nope, it's gone. It's all gone. The video that would have saved the world, and it's fallen down a memory hole, never to be retrieved. And obviously, after a few minutes of hitting myself in the head, I have to conclude that it was probably all bollocks. There was nothing there. I was just convincing myself, subconsciously, that there was gold and silver in my clenched fist when there was nothing but fists. It's jolly frustrating, I have to say. And this, by the way, happens like clockwork every time I stop smoking weed for 3 days. On the 3rd night, the dimethyltryptamine in my brain starts trolling me again. Don't stop smoking weed, folks. It's bad for your health. Games with Gravy asks, where did you get your name from? Myself. I wrote a song about reality TV called Randomacam. A camera that films random people, otherwise known as randomers. I thought it sounded cool. It sounds like an Indian doctor, like Dr. Ramashundranan, which is what most doctors... I wasn't going for easy to spell or easy to remember, or in any way likely to make me famous, because I don't think things through. Detritus effluvium. Suicidal Samba is a masterpiece on multiple levels. How long did it take to create it? Aha, well, most of my cover songs are a similar process. The lyrics take a day or two to write, sometimes up to a week, taking frequent breaks, obviously. Writing is something you can expect to have to go to and from quite often. You spend long periods staring at a blank page trying to think and shit, and thinking of nothing. Recording the song takes about 2 or 3 days. A day for the drums and the acoustic skeleton, at least a day for all the guitars, and maybe a day for what's left over, so vocals, backing vocals, mixing, engineering, etc. And the video takes a couple of hours to film and an afternoon and an evening to edit, depending on how many new effects I'm experimenting with. And unlike when writing, I don't take breaks when I'm recording, except to make more coffee and occasionally sleep. I'm an incredibly lazy person, unless I've got an idea and I'm in the process of recording and editing it, in which case I don't stop until it's finished. So, in total about 4 to 6 days of fairly solid work goes into a video like that. And it's a fairly similar story for the video responses. It's in 3 stages: the writing, the filming, and the editing. The writing takes a long, broken time, up to a week. The filming, usually over in a couple of hours, and the editing takes a long, unbroken time, up to a day, usually. Including this video I'm doing right now. I wrote the scripts for this video while I was in the car, as we were travelling from Sydney to Melbourne, which some of you may know is not a small journey. Yeah, in case you didn't know, I script my videos. I script everything, even the video responses, even the bits you're sure couldn't have been scripted. Yeah, I'm a fraud, I'm afraid. None of this is real. I'm just a reasonably good actor, and I've got enough time on my hands to get the takes right. I don't want to spoil the magic, but I don't want to lie to you either, so there you go. Tasticles asks, do you still do gigs for comedy and or music? And if yes, and where and when can I attend? No. I did live comedy fairly regularly for about 3 years. It was a valuable experience, but not a very profitable one, and not a very ergonomic use of my time. Much like being in a band, it involves playing the same set to 100 different empty venues for no pay. Once I discovered I could play it once from the comfort of my bedroom, get paid for it, and have thousands of people hear it, I stuck with that format. Because as much as I enjoy the pulse of a live show and the thrill of a room full of laughter, this internet thing actually resembles a career and not just a hobby. It only took 2 years of fairly large audiences before I was earning enough to quit my day job. It's a no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen, and it bears repeating. Don't work hard, work smart. We have technology now. Use it. And yeah, I'm not putting any trust at all in the live comedy scene or the mainstream media, and the one is basically just a gateway to the other. If you want a job in establishment comedy or establishment music, you have to be a card-carrying lockstep SJW and constantly apologise for shit you did or did not say, drawing ever closer to the moment you can't apologise for it enough, and they metaphorically burn you at the metaphorical stake, never to return. It's just like being an actor. You don't get to be an artist. You don't get to have your own opinions. You're just a face, ordered to say the things the establishment wants you to say. Maybe when I have a sizable enough audience, I might do some freelance gigs somehow, if I can be bothered dealing with the protests and the bomb threats. And I can't be bothered dealing with those things. And I don't mind. I think I like being only as semi-popular as I am. My act is somewhat of a niche, as I've discovered once again on this Australia trip of ours. Only a few handfuls of people are into what I do, but those people are really into what I do. And they'll travel from miles around just to see me in a pub for a couple of hours and say thank you and give me a hat and a bottle of whiskey. It's a pretty good life. Like they say, if you can get up there and make just one person laugh, then you're shit. But if you can make 100 people laugh and make 1,000 people triggered at the same time, you might just be in the right. Which is the icing on the funny cake. Alright, one more question before I go. The entire MRA. Oh, it's Squeaky the First, hi. Would like to know, are traps gay? I'm happy to reveal. Traps are exactly as gay as a piece of string. No more, no less. Alright. I hope you found this enlightening, folks. How about I do this again when I hit 100,000 subscribers? Hey YouTube, will I ever hit 100,000 subscribers? Do you already know the answer to that question? Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I like it this way. Keep doing what you're doing, YouTube. I am adored by small legions of nice people while the crazy attention seekers leave me alone. Thank you. I couldn't have asked for a better algorithm. Peace. Love and peace and filiophobia mania to your mother. And your daddy. Alright, goodbye. Fuck the system. Fuck it good and right. See you next time. Oh, before I forget, just for the sake of investigation, this is me trying Bundaberg rum for the first time. They were right. Everything they told me was right.